The Discovery. Commander Rhea Winters leaned against the viewport of the mining station Helios, watching the swirling dust storms of Kepler 879 paint the sky in shades of amber. The colonial mining operation had been running smoothly for 3 years until their drills struck something that wasn't mineral deposits, something that made their most sophisticated scanning equipment malfunction. "Commander, you need to see this," Jameson Reed, the chief geologist, called from the excavation chamber. His usual composed demeanor was replaced with barely contained excitement. Rhea made her way through the winding corridors of the underground facility, passing nervous-looking technicians and engineers. The atmosphere was charged with an energy she'd never felt before. As she entered the chamber, her breath caught in her throat. Before her stood a perfectly smooth obsidian arch, easily 20 feet tall, covered in flowing symbols that seemed to shift and change as she watched. The mining laser that had uncovered it lay silent, its tip partially melted. "It's not just the arch," Reed explained, running a hand through his graying hair. "Look at these readings." He handed her a tablet showing energy signatures unlike anything in their database. "Whatever this is, it's not natural and definitely not from our corner of the galaxy." Dr. Nadia Santos, their xenoarchaeologist, was already taking samples, her dark eyes wide with wonder. "The symbols appear to be some form of script, but they're evolving. Changing in response to our presence." Before Rhea could respond, the facility's alert system blared to life. "Unknown vessels detected entering orbit," announced the AI's calm voice. "Zestrian Empire signatures confirmed." Rhea's blood ran cold. The Zestrians, humanity's first contact with an advanced civilization, had maintained an uneasy peace with Earth for decades. Their presence here, in a remote mining colony, could only mean trouble. "Security teams to positions," she ordered through her calm. "Dr. Santos, Reed, secure everything you found. We need to dash." The arch pulsed, cutting her off mid-sentence. A wave of energy rippled through the chamber, and Rhea felt something change inside her. It was subtle at first, heightened awareness, sharper vision, thoughts moving faster than ever before. Around her, she saw the same realization dawning on her team's faces. "They knew," Dr. Santos whispered, her voice filled with awe. "The Zestrians knew this was here. That's why they're coming." Above them, the first shots were fired as Zestrian warships engaged with the colony's defensive systems. But Rhea barely noticed. The knowledge flooding into her mind was overwhelming: understanding of technologies centuries beyond human capability, insights into the very fabric of spacetime, and most importantly, the truth about what they'd just stumbled upon. "This isn't just an artifact," she said, her voice steady despite the revelation. "It's a key. One of many left behind by beings who transcended physical form. And they chose humanity as their successors." The ground shook as something heavy landed near the colony. Zestrian drop ships, no doubt. But Rhea felt no fear. Instead, a smile played across her lips as she watched the symbols on the arch align themselves into perfect clarity, a message and a gift to humanity. Reed looked at her, his eyes now glowing with an inner light. "What do we do, Commander?" "We protect this discovery," she replied, feeling power surge through her veins. "And we ensure humanity's evolution cannot be stopped. No matter what the Zestrians throw at us." As if in response to her words, the arch's energy intensified, bathing them all in its transformative light. Above them, the Zestrian forces were about to discover that humanity was no longer the same species they'd first encountered all those years ago. The ascension had begun. Metamorphosis. A Zestrian battle cruiser hung in orbit like a blade poised to strike, its crystalline hull refracting starlight across the colony below. Admiral Vexthor watched through compound eyes as his elite forces descended toward the human mining facility, mandibles clicking with anticipation. After centuries of monitoring lesser species, the Zestrians had learned to recognize the signs of ascension. They couldn't allow another race to join the ranks of the transcended. But something was wrong. The tactical displays showed his troops' life signs fluctuating wildly as they approached the excavation site. "Admiral," his second-in-command rasped, "ground team reports, the humans are changing." Deep beneath the surface, Commander Rhea Winters felt the transformation accelerating through her body and mind. The knowledge downloaded from the Arch had become part of her, infinite possibilities unfolding in her consciousness. Around her, her team was undergoing similar changes, their forms shifting, energy crackling beneath their skin. Dr. Santos had become something extraordinary, her body seeming to exist in multiple dimensions at once. When she moved, reality rippled around her. "The Zestrians," she said, her voice echoing strangely, "they're not just here to stop us. They fear us because they failed their own test." Reed, now able to perceive the quantum structure of matter itself, nodded. The artifacts weren't meant for them. Their rigid hierarchical society made them incompatible with true ascension. The first Zestrian shock troops breached the facility's upper levels, their energy weapons primed. But they weren't prepared for what they found. The humans they'd expected to easily overwhelm were gone, replaced by beings of pure potential. Rhea stretched out her consciousness, connecting with every member of her transformed crew. Their minds linked effortlessly, forming a gestalt that was greater than the sum of its parts. Through their shared awareness, she could sense the fear rippling through the Zestrian ranks. "They're broadcasting a distress signal," Reed announced, reading the quantum fluctuations in the air. "Calling for their entire sector fleet." A lesser being might have felt fear at such news. But Rhea had transcended such limitations. She understood now that this confrontation was inevitable, part of humanity's journey toward its ultimate destiny. "Let them come," she said, her words carrying through both physical space and the minds of her crew. "We need to buy time for the transformation to spread. What we've become, it's meant for all of humanity, not just us." The Arch pulsed again, responding to their elevated state of consciousness. More information flooded their shared awareness, the location of other artifacts, scattered across the galaxy by the Ancient Ones. Seeds of transcendence, waiting for the right species to find them. Dr. Santos suddenly stiffened, her multidimensional form shimmering with intensity. "They're preparing to bombard the colony from orbit. They'll sacrifice their own troops to stop us." Rhea smiled, feeling the power flowing through her transformed body. "They don't understand yet. We're no longer bound by the same rules of physics they are." As if to demonstrate, she reached out with her mind, touching the fabric of spacetime itself. The Zestrian warships above suddenly found their weapon systems refusing to function, the very laws of thermodynamics twisting under Rhea's will. Admiral Vexthor watched in horror as his mighty vessels became little more than elaborate ornaments in space. "Impossible," he chittered, mandibles quivering. "No species can advance this quickly." But the evidence was undeniable. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were rewriting reality itself. And this was just the beginning. Through their shared consciousness, Rhea's team began reaching out to other human colonies, sending the knowledge of transformation racing across neural networks and quantum channels. The change that had begun in their small mining facility was spreading, unstoppable as a force of nature. "The Zestrians will retreat," Reed predicted, reading the quantum probabilities surrounding them. "But they'll return with everything they have. Their entire empire will mobilize against us." Rhea nodded, watching as the first Zestrian ships began jumping to hyperspace, fleeing what they couldn't understand. "Good. By then, we'll be ready." Humanity wasn't meant to be contained by the old laws, physical or political. As the dust settled around them, the transformed humans began preparing for what was to come. The Arch stood silent now, its purpose fulfilled. But its gift to humanity was only the first step on a path that would reshape the galaxy itself. The age of human limitation was over. The age of transcendence had begun. Rising powers. 3 weeks after first contact with the Arch, the transformation had spread across 17 human colonies. On the frontier world of New Eden, Dominic Thane watched the sunrise with eyes that could now perceive the full electromagnetic spectrum. As governor of this agricultural world, he'd been among the first to receive the ascension protocols transmitted from Kepler 879. Reports flooded in from across human space, physicists discovering they could manipulate quantum fields with a thought, doctors who could see and heal at the cellular level, children who could instinctively solve complex mathematical equations that had puzzled humanity for centuries. Governor, his assistant Julian Pierce materialized beside him, his form shifting between solid matter and pure energy. The Zestrian diplomatic vessel has entered the system. They're requesting permission to land. Dominic nodded, sensing the massive fleet hiding at the edge of the system, the Zestrians' insurance policy. Let them come. Commander Winters should be arriving any moment to handle the negotiations. As if summoned by his words, reality shifted nearby as Rhea Winters stepped through a fold in spacetime, her presence radiating power that had only grown since the initial transformation. The Zestrian Empire is scared, she said without preamble. Their entire society is built on the belief that they're the galaxy's most advanced civilization. And now they're not, Julian observed, his energy form rippling with amusement. How are the other colonies adapting to the change? Rhea's expression grew serious. Most are embracing it, but there have been complications. Not everyone wants to transcend. Some fear losing their humanity. Dominic understood. Even as the transformation offered unlimited potential, it asked profound questions about the nature of human identity. And the Zestrian response? They're divided, Rhea replied. Their military wants to strike now, before more humans ascend. But their scientists are fascinated by us. Some even want to study the transformation process. The Zestrian shuttle descended through the atmosphere, its crystalline structure glinting in the morning light. Aboard, Ambassador Kextal prepared for the most important diplomatic mission of her career. Her orders were simple: assess the full extent of human transformation and determine if coexistence was possible. As the shuttle landed, Dominic reached out with his enhanced senses, reading the quantum signatures of the Zestrian crew. Fear, curiosity, and something else, a deep-seated jealousy that even their rigid training couldn't hide. Ambassador Kextal emerged, her iridescent carapace deliberately dulled to appear less threatening. Governor Thane, she began, her translator converting complex pheromone signals into human speech. The Zestrian Empire extends its congratulations on your species' recent evolution. You mean your empire wants to understand how we succeeded where you failed, Rhea interjected, her words carrying weight beyond their literal meaning. The artifacts tested all spacefaring races. We're not the first to find them, but we are the first to pass their trial. The ambassador's antennae twitched, a sign of discomfort. We seek only peaceful coexistence. But surely you understand our concerns. Such rapid advancement, such fundamental changes to the nature of your species. You're not here to negotiate, Dominic said, reading the quantum fluctuations around the ambassador. You're here to delay us while your fleet positions itself for a strike on our core worlds. Kextal's compound eyes flickered in shock. The human's ability to read intentions at the quantum level hadn't been in any intelligence briefings. Rhea stepped forward, her form briefly shifting through multiple dimensions. Tell your empire this: humanity doesn't seek conflict. We'll share our knowledge of ascension with any species ready to embrace it. But we will not be contained, and we will not be stopped. The quantum ripples of the ambassador's fear spread through the air like waves on a pond. In orbit, the hidden Zestrian fleet received new orders, their weapons powering down. For now, at least, diplomacy would continue. But as Dominic watched the shuttle depart, he knew this was just the beginning. Humanity's transformation wasn't just changing their species, it was reshaping the very fabric of galactic society. The old order was crumbling, and what would rise in its place remained to be seen. Empire's Gambit. In the crystalline halls of the Zestrian High Command, Grand Admiral ZYX4 reviewed the latest intelligence with growing dread. The transformed humans had spread to 32 colonies now, each displaying abilities that defied the Empire's most advanced scientific understanding. The humans have begun constructing something in the Arcturus sector, his intelligence chief reported, projecting a hologram of massive structures that seem to phase in and out of normal space. Our best analysts can't even comprehend its purpose. The truth was, the Zestrian Empire faced an unprecedented crisis. Their military superiority, maintained for millennia, had become meaningless against beings who could reshape reality itself. But HFY had one last card to play, a weapon so terrible it had been banned by every civilized species in the galaxy. On the human colony of Aurora Prime, former naval officer Lyra Blackwood stood in the center of a vast chamber, directing the construction of humanity's first dimensional nexus. Her consciousness extended through the quantum field, guiding thousands of transformed humans as they wove the fabric of spacetime into new patterns. Temporal disturbance detected, announced her second-in-command, Oliver Drake, his form flickering between states of matter. The Zestrians are mobilizing something massive near the Carina Nebula. Lyra reached out with her enhanced senses, probing the disturbance. What she found made her physical form solidify in shock. They're preparing to deploy an entropy accelerator. They mean to age our entire sector of space by millions of years in an instant. The warning spread through humanity's quantum network instantly. Across transformed colonies, beings who had once been simple humans began preparing for what could be their greatest test yet. The entropy accelerator wouldn't just threaten their lives, it would unravel the very cosmic laws they had learned to manipulate. Commander Winters arrived at Aurora Prime through a quantum tunnel, her presence immediately strengthening the dimensional nexus. The Zestrians are desperate, she observed. They don't understand that evolution can't be stopped by merely accelerating time. Perhaps not, Lyra agreed, but they could destroy everything we're building here. Billions of untransformed humans would die instantly. She paused, monitoring the quantum frequencies. They're moving the device into position. We have hours at most. Oliver's form crackled with energy as he processed tactical data through his enhanced mind. We could evacuate the colonies through dimensional corridors, but the nexus isn't complete. We'd lose everything we've worked for. No, Rhea decided, her consciousness expanding to encompass the entire system. We stop them here. Show them that humanity's ascension isn't just about power, it's about responsibility. About becoming something greater than our past selves. The transformed humans linked their minds, forming a vast neural network that spanned light years. Through their shared consciousness, they began weaving a plan that operated on levels the Zestrians couldn't even perceive. As the entropy accelerator moved into position, Grand Admiral HFY gave the order to begin charging its terrible power. He knew this action would condemn him in the eyes of history, but he saw no alternative. The humans had become too powerful, too quickly. But even as the weapon powered up, reality itself began to shift around it. The transformed humans weren't just fighting back, they were rewriting the fundamental laws that made the weapon possible. The entropy accelerator fired, its beam of concentrated time-death reaching out across space. But it met something unprecedented, a barrier formed not of matter or energy, but of pure consciousness, shaped by billions of linked human minds. Dawn of the New Age. The entropy accelerator's beam collided with humanity's collective consciousness, creating a spectacle visible across thousands of light-years. Where destructive entropy met transcended thought, reality itself hesitated, caught between two forces never meant to interact. Admiral HFY watched in disbelief as his ultimate weapon's energy was not just stopped, but transformed. The destructive wave of accelerated time twisted and folded back on itself, creating a cascade of temporal flowers that bloomed across space, beautiful and impossible. Through their quantum network, Lyra Blackwood felt the collective effort of transformed humanity directing this power. We're not just stopping it, she communicated to the others, we're showing them another way. The temporal energy that should have aged their worlds to dust instead began catalyzing something new. Everywhere the energy touched, space itself awakened to new possibilities. The barrier humanity had created wasn't just defensive, it was transformative. Commander Winters, her consciousness spread across light years, recognized the moment's significance. This is what the artifact's creators intended, she broadcasted to both humans and Zestrians alike. Not the domination of one species over others, but the elevation of all. The entropy accelerator's energy continued to change, its destructive purpose transformed into something creative. Where it touched Zestrian ships, their crystalline hulls began resonating with new frequencies. The rigid patterns of their technology started shifting, becoming more fluid, more alive. Inside those ships, something extraordinary happened. Zestrian crews found their consciousness expanding, their rigid thoughts becoming more fluid. The very qualities that had made them fail the artifact's original tests were being reshaped by humanity's response to their attack. "They're changing," Oliver Drake observed, his energy form pulsing with excitement. "Not exactly like us, but in their own way. Their evolution is beginning." Grand Admiral Zyxor felt it too, the walls between species, between different forms of consciousness, becoming permeable. The weapon meant to preserve his empire's dominance had instead become the key to its transformation. Across human space, the dimensional nexus projects continued, but with a new purpose. They weren't just for humanity anymore, but would serve as beacons for all species ready to take the next step in cosmic evolution. Lyra directed the final stages of the Aurora Prime Nexus, watching as its quantum architecture adapted to accommodate both human and Zestrian patterns of thought. This was never about replacing one dominant species with another, she realized. It was about breaking the cycle entirely. The transformed humans reached out through space, extending an offer to their former enemies. Not surrender, not submission, but partnership in something greater than either civilization had imagined. Commander Winters materialized on the bridge of the Zestrian flagship, her form shifting between human and pure energy. Admiral Zyxor, his consciousness already beginning to expand, faced her not as an enemy, but as a fellow traveler on an unprecedented journey. "Your empire doesn't have to end," Rhea told him, her words carrying the weight of transformed humanity's collective wisdom. "It can evolve. We all can." The Admiral's compound eyes reflected the shifting colors of space around them. "We thought we were protecting the galaxy from chaos," he admitted. "But we were really just afraid of change." As the last energies of the entropy accelerator dispersed, transformed into catalysts for evolution rather than destruction, a new era truly began. The barriers between species started dissolving, not into homogeneity, but into a cosmic tapestry of diverse consciousness working in harmony. Humanity had not just ascended, they had shown the way for others to follow, each in their own unique way. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly as it should be. The age of separation was over. The age of unified evolution had begun. The story concludes with the transformation of not just humanity, but the beginning of a galactic metamorphosis, marking the dawn of a new cosmic civilization where consciousness, rather than conflict, shapes the future.